once in your life.
Is it like in the? Is it near? I could look it up, but.
Yeah, look it up. There's a lot of research about it.
I used to live in Manhattan Beach, Hermosa Beach.
John, my son's about to die. I have to go.
Okay, no worries. Take care.
Bye, John. We'll talk to you later. Bye, John.
Cupertino. Mmm. Instagram Live. I'm looking for my my Clubhouse phones, but I can't seem to find it. Is this one overlooking something? Oh my god. Jeez Louise.
Just to be clear, so everyone on Earth is taking a private vote by pressing either a red or blue button. You don't know where we're up. Just like it's like count it out so slow inside, like you're tracing your own name. Like here's the thing, you guys, if you land spirituality, I'm really under the thought of like so like Christians are not tapping across the world. Well, that stems from a lot of the stuff now modern day America. So, I don't know what to say. Like, there's the slave trade and colonization. Like, I know it's a hypothetical question, but like, if people just keep living in a land of hypothetical theories, then like, you know, when reality is there, it just I'm sorry to say it like that, and I know you guys are just joking, so I don't come off like that, but the whole, like, you know, let's take the Bible everywhere. Like, one way it's a good thing, but when you look at colonization and all the other bad effects of taking the Bible everywhere in the last 500 years, not bad. So, like, when I read it, like, I'm tired of this, but, like, this whole, like, you know, we want to convert India to Christianity because it's one of the last. What about, like, the genocide of Australia, and what about the genocide of natives in America? Like, what about colonization of the British Empire, the Portuguese slave trade, and their Inquisition? Like, all those things stand to me saying no. Like, if the country says no, you don't want Christian proselytization in our country. Like, we should be respected. The fuck. So, like, I don't get it. Like, I'm not against Christianity. But, like, I don't want this unnecessary, you know, let's read the Bible to everyone. It's just not even read the Vedic scriptures and understand what's in there, but just like combine it and say what you believe is wrong, you have to follow the Bible, or else we're gonna terrorize you and kill you and destroy where you're going. When did that happen? The Vedic scriptures. They think they're better. That's the problem with Christianity. You guys, a lot of people that are Christian think they're better than everybody else. And then just run to like the evil. I think
we're better at being tolerant to understand.
It's all about destroying cultures and civilization. And the white man is like seriously.
When I finished the read Black and Blue, Black and question area managers came in, I'd like to know what they thought.
Yeah, so I'm going to say about actual costs. I was going to say hi, I was just learning, and I don't even know where we're going anymore.
What's up, y'all? We were talking about a red button and a blue button, and we hadn't quite got around the room before it went crazy.
And you're literally calling me out for being a straight white guy that's a Christian.
Dude's gone now, so it doesn't matter.
He's right here, right now, Lisa.
We start calling out the people that go around the world
What do you think's happening?
they're better. That's the thing.
Hello?
Oh, I'm blind.
Sorry? I didn't call you out. I called out the people that go around the world thinking they're better.
Hello?
Just trying, civilization.
But is religious stuff, is it no different than what you're doing to us? You're trying to convert us to your way of believing?
I'm not trying to convert you. I'm presenting. If you want to read it, you can read it.
Okay.
There's a difference. There's a difference between.
No. You're doing the same thing that Christians would do, right?
No. What have Christians done in the world?
Well, you're telling me how to behave.
Yeah, I'm not
You're
telling you how to behave.
you're saying what you're saying Christians are bad because they do this. Meanwhile, I will try to do this to you.
What are you trying to say? This.
You're trying to convert us to thinking the way you think.
What? No, they're trying to convert. What do you know? You got to be more specific. You can't say this.
How are you get specific? I mean, you went all over the world with your stuff.
Sure, I can be specific. In the last 500 years, Christians.
Which Christians?
Christopher Columbus, the Portuguese, to the British, have destroyed
Doesn't he
humanity.
They kicked me. They kicked me.
There to do it. Was your answer.
I mentioned no, my
Kitover,
answer.
who do you think that is?
Ma'am, do not insult my intelligence. I mentioned parliamentarians. I mentioned special masters. I mentioned a number of legal professionals, and I mentioned that it could be the function of an organization. But you want an answer that's not a real
No,
response.
you're saying that the people that are responsible for these are predominantly white. Was your premise?
That was not my premise. My premise was that when white people do it, they're often more effective. See how you keep saying things
So
like
white people are more effective at writing bylaws, is what you're saying.
Ma'am, we've already said what I've said. Do you want to write it down?
No,
So that I don't have to keep repeating it?
So like Boy Scouts, you think white's the best Boy Scout troop leaders and like
That is not the same thing.
HOA leaders because they implement rules, protocols, and they formulate.
Yes, Karens are the best HOA leaders.
I would argue Asians are better. That's just my argument. That's my comment.
there's
as a professional, I was told.
Karens aren't just white.
Correct. I'm a Karen at times.
Not a Karen.
Yeah. My professional training comes from upper middle class white bitches who nobody wanted to work for.
No, the people you don't want to work never work.
So, and that
I
was
think KK stands for double Karen.
And so, in fact, that was what that's what was said to me as I left my high school getting ready. I was told by a principal, a black woman, you know, the last person that people want to work for is a black woman. Before that is a white woman because they're
That is true.
correct. Because they're so thorough. And the first person that people want to work for is a white man. And the second person is a black man. And so I was intrigued. And I wanted to see what was going on with these white women. And what I found was, especially when there's no racism or classism involved, they give everybody the same amount of hell. They read the law backward and forward. They know the policy. They know the procedures. They know the line of questioning. But I'll give you that. I can name a number of industries where a Karen or just any white bitch in general would likely be 9 or 10 of the most qualified. I simply cannot give you the same. I simply cannot give you the same for white men.
Surgeons. What about brain surgeons?
Absolutely not.
Neurosurgeons, what color do they have to be?
Well, what color are they usually not? I mean, we got like Ben Carson's a famous one, but
What color
typically,
are Asian?
Yeah, what
I
color
don't see
are
a lot of
Asians?
I don't see a lot of Dominicans being brain surgeons. I don't see a lot.
No, but Big Papi was like, how many homers did he have?
Over 100.
they make good baseball players.
Amazing.
So my
baseball
point
players.
is, there's nothing wrong with industries having certain unnatural splits as far as the normal distribution. Like, I just don't understand why you would be okay with it in one industry and say, oh, that's fine, but then another one that you guys were talking about, like, there's no way it's possible that 9 out of 10 would be white male.
But maybe it's not impossible, but we still have not come up with the example.
I mean, we all know that there's going to be
Well, polytechnics might be that one industry too.
there's going to be standout performances in any field if we're actually measuring the merit, and we want that because we want the fields to improve. And there's also going to be distributions of certain communities or locations or ethnic backgrounds that contribute to like one field or another field. But like the concern when we see too much representation of one and not the other is that we might be leaving potential on the table. Like it might be that great basketball players come from this group, or it might be that our current society of humans is only training them to be better, and there are other communities that might have innovative insights on being a great basketball player or an engineer or pick your.
Or better
He
standards.
makes the point impressive.
I mean, like Yao Ming, right?
Or it's
Higher
a
Right, when we're
cultural-
surprised, when we see something phenomenal.
KK,
It's a
what were you
combination
saying?
of all those.
I was just saying higher cultural standards could be a factor.
He makes an incredible point.
Yeah, so we all agree, it's no merit.
But he doesn't. That's a quite a reduction and a departure from what he or I said.
No, I know. Yeah, I'm talking about overall, but when he's saying, yeah, I mean, like, there's a combination of things that we explain.
We're saying that we cannot be. We cannot say that it should be about merit now. That with an understanding that it has truly never only been about merit. That's a dismissal or an oversight of the reality that merit has largely not been the consideration up until the point that participation
That's exactly what I've been arguing against. At one point, I have to assume my daughter is of age. She's not a child anymore, and I have to stop treating her like a child. She's grown up now. She's responsible now. The things she did as a teenager, I cannot keep holding that against her. I have to have an expectation. I have to trust. I have to verify. But she's an adult now. To get the analogy, if we don't start treating our society like an adult now, and we keep reverting back to it's always been this way, therefore it will always be this
So
way.
that
What is your solution? How do we get from it has been this way to it's no longer going to?
the first thing you have to do is not be cowardice or quiver when it comes to naming and maintaining a memory of what it has been. What it appears to be the case. What it appears to be.
Memory. But all you're doing is you keep coming back to this. It's been fucked up, therefore, and there's no therefore. Okay, what's next?
Well, it's acknowledging and it's investigating the who, what, when, and why, and also you have to measure what did it cost us? What did it cost us? What did it cost us to fail to do those things?
Anything when we
What did it cost? It shifts our urgency. It shifts our competence of the failures and our awareness of the true consequences of making these mistakes.
We all know that
and we also must acknowledge that we have not made such an evolution. And I will give this example, that even within black organizations with people with a deep competence of the price of discrimination and prejudices, my own Howard University, within its 200 plus year history. Am I right about that? Is it 200, 150? 150? I'm sorry, it might not be 200. 1867 is our founding. I'm not a math person. That is not my skill set. But we've never hired a woman to be our president. We have never hired a woman to be our president. We've had women that have applied. We've had women who have served in the interim capacity. We've had women who were nominated. We have never. So the idea.
Hey, Claudine Gay's out there. You could bring her in.
I said Howard, not Harvard. Howard, not Harvard.
Hey, yes, she's out of Harvard. So
you're saying that she
yeah,
should come.
she's available. Yes, but
I don't.
by all means, Liz McGill, you could probably get her too. There's a bunch of presidents that are floating around.
Ma'am, it is not for lack of trying. They have chosen to overlook
for the United States.
No, I mean for the university. The university has chosen
are,
not to hire.
But there are black presidents of universities.
That was not the point that I made.
Black women presidents.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Is this thing on?
No. You've got people responding to it. Like
yeah, you have female university presidents.
That was not.
I thought you were talking about the federal.
You don't have to think. I can tell you what I'm talking about.
Well, there's something we have fixed. I view schools were being discriminatory against Asians.
I'm talking about the student-specific institution.
Yeah, no, but this is one thing that we have.
We have been discriminating against Asians.
Yeah, we discriminated. We were discriminating
against
Asians. They were admitting black students not on merit. They were giving them admission when they didn't deserve it, and that's been remedied at least some. It's been addressed by the Supreme Court. I don't know if they'll be able to actually really fix it. They'll just use a workaround and say race was help them have a different perspective on the world, and the scores don't matter. But that has been addressed.
Fabulous.
Aren't you excited about that?
What I won't be is misunderstood. And so the point is going.
No. Can you? Someone just asked you if you're aware of the Harvard decision. No. It was Ahmad asked you the question.
And we're gonna go back to
what I said. This is what we're gonna do. No, this is what we're gonna do, sweetie. He asked you a question.
And I'm not gonna answer
it. Where the Harvard case
and what happened to the Asians? He just wants you to take charge and be in control of this room.
Okay, so I'm a woman. I'm taking control. He asked you about the Asians being discriminated in the Harvard lawsuit. And are you aware of it? Are you aware what happened to Asian students in the United States?
I won't be responding to that question.
You won't be.
I thought you said you submit to Karen's well or something.
Yeah, like Karen.
Finish the point you wanted to make, and then would you please?
Oh, thank you, people.
Answer my question
for allowing me.
I thought another profession, diamond cutters, are probably mostly white.
thinking of beavers.
Why would you think that?
I think these
So, I don't know, Mick said something about that.
Well, diamond cutters, like Maurice Templesman, who was Jackie Onassis's beau when she passed away in '94. That's his industry, and I would say probably so. Not for lack of skill, but lack of access, Abby.
Lack of access. Okay. Wonder why that is.
All right, well, go ahead, Collective, and finish your point.
The point was
presumably they should be.
We're talking about a black institution existing in the 21st century that is still operating with a great deal of prejudice towards women academics in terms of refusing to give such a role. So to act as though we've moved so far away from the very subject that we're discussing, which is the failure of promoting and considering women or any other a group that has been discriminated against in terms of given opportunity is foul, because we've not made that much progress. If I can say that about a black institution, certainly that can be said about institutions of majority non-black stakeholders.
Okay. We don't have the right first female president of the U.S. yet.
Are you excited about the progress we've made in the IVs?
She's coming.
Collective. Now, are you going to address my question?
I know I don't look at that as progress, no.
What? How is that not progress?
It's not progress to help the Asian students?
Yeah, we right it or wrong.
Yeah, they've been here as long as we have.
Uprooting the nepotism would be progress. So we're not, you're not going to convince me.
So helping the Asian students is not progress.
To get their SAT and their ACT scores really high, and they spend hours and hours busting their ass.
Right, but too many get in, so we refuse them to.
And my answer is
I said, hold it.
My answer is no, I don't look at it as progress.
Well, how? How? That doesn't follow.
I'm not giving you a how. I gave you an answer. No.
Okay, well,
Not
sounds like
progress that the Asian students are not going to be discriminated anymore, hopefully.
you're fine with discrimination of Asians.
I think I'm too intelligent, and anyone else listening is too intelligent to imagine that that's what I said. That's what you wanted to hear or imagine. But we're not going to.
You said it's not progress.
And this
that
is not
the Harvard
paid.
lawsuit
This is not a paid
ended
forum.
the way it
This
did.
is not
You
a
just
paid
said it's
forum,
not
so I'm
progress. We all just heard you say it.
Yeah,
You
And I
admitted it.
made
You made a
it very
direct
clear that
admission that it's not progress, that the Asian students are now not going to be discriminated. You specifically said that that's not progress, and everyone heard you say it. And now you're backpedaling, and you're saying, no, I'm not going to answer it. But you did answer it. You actually said
The
that.
answer is no, it is not progress. You asked me how, and I said hell no.
Why isn't that progress?
I'm not answering that.
Why are you not answering that?
Because I don't necessarily want to or have to.
Because he thinks it's okay to discriminate against Asians.
Can you
Well,
know
what
more
is it
than
okay
enough?
to discriminate
Because I'm
against
not
Asians?
obligated to respond.
That's the only thing that I get to do. Is
That's all I can
provide.
do.
Yeah, you don't have to
So-and-so.
tell us why you want to
You
discriminate
can
against
do-
Asians. It's just like a weird thing to leave on the table. Go like, hey, I'm okay with hating these
Oh,
people.
when he left.
End of conversation.
I think he left.
Like, okay, that's a way to
I
do
think he
things.
left.
Yeah, he
Exactly.
got caught in his own little word salad.
No, you just kind of realize
He got caught in his own little. Thank you, KK. It's
He
exactly
got
it.
defeated.
But it's been word salad for how long have you been going with this?
I entered
An
the
hour.
room trying to figure it out.
You just made him unleash his Karen side.
He
Well, good
said
morning.
he likes to be a Karen.
I'm still dealing with parliamentary
Yeah,
procedures, guys, and trying to figure.
You're trying to figure them out, or you're trying to abide by them for the rule.
I don't know. You know what? Should we have parliamentary procedures in these rooms?
Probably that other one was
Yes.
that not parliamentary, but what's it called? Bob's Law or whatever.
Robert's Rules of Order.
Yeah, Robert's Rules. That's the one. Bob's book. Yeah. If you follow that, yeah, Clubhouse could probably accomplish stuff, but there's no actual alignment of goal or interest for anyone here. It's all just like a hangout space. So I don't know that you could accomplish anything just by controlling the structure. There's no actual agenda.
I would elect KK as our parliamentarian.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah, but you would just do that as an Asian
Are
chaos.
you doing that because I'm Asian?
I'm doing that.
Hold on.
That's right. It's a diversity hire.
Because he's smart?
So as an American, I found the information kind of interesting. As an American,
I'm surprised you weren't commenting, Edward. I was like wondering if you were gonna chime.
This is your perfect mark, Edward. This guy was perfect for you.
no, I know, but you see, there's a distinct difference between what someone calls discrimination versus what actual discrimination is. Okay?
Right.
So the challenge that people have is that they think that they're communicating something versus what's actually happening. You see, how can I, at 62 years old, right a wrong of previous generations? How could I hold anybody accountable to something that I wasn't part of? That's
Good
number
question.
one. Well,
Deserves an answer.
Yeah, it does. But I ask people this the whole time. Like the people who are what they call reparationists. And I says, so explain to me, why should Edward, I'm using myself, be paid for work I did not do?
Right.
So I should be compensated just because another group of people that happen to look like me did the work. Now, if they were going to fight for that would be their benefit, not mine. So it's just interesting. That's one area.
That's an interesting way of looking at it. And I don't think anyone's so much discussed the concept of reparations, not to any individual African American, but instead to an institution, held in trust for those people, like the real workers, held in trust for their interest, whatever they would want for their descendants. You make a trust and you put a trustee in front of it. But then you declare, this isn't for the people alive today. They didn't work for this. It's for the people who were abused in the past. And this is a special institution to utilize these funds to, do something to make it right.
Yeah,
And then they have their meetings with the Robert's
but
Rules.
see, that would be different if that was the institution that was placed by government.
Right.
But my understanding, okay, and I've been to 54 countries, that the individual,
Oh, wow.
so the difference is the decided to purchase the slave or the individual who decided to sell the slave, they were individual people. They were not doing this as a government. Okay, you can go look at it.
Right. Yeah.
So how then am I going to charge?
It was more like a startup nation at the time.
Whatever you want to call it. Because see, what most people do not look at, and my grandfather and my dad always says, my grandpa was born in the late 1800s in the country of England. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah, but
it's an interesting time to be in the country of England, late 1800s.
Exactly. But they were not slaves. They migrated to the United States. Okay. My father, who was born here, he was born in 1919. Okay.
Right.
Still was not.
Still very interesting time to be in the U.S.
Exactly. But both my father and my granddad used to say on a regular basis, I've never met a slave nor a slave owner, so why should I make that my priority?
Wow. Fair point. Fair point from your family line. And just like me thinking for a second, the history, the grandfather and father experience through England and America through those eras. Crazy, dude.
Yeah. Well, but see, most people today, if they go and look at history, there was 27 grievances that we had in the 13 colonies to divorce ourselves from King George III, right? Well, those 27 grievances also had part of them, the abolishment of slavery. But you never hear anybody talk about that. This nation was not built on any ethnic group. It was born on the ideal that the founding father says, for the first time in human history, could you hold your life self-evident? No king, no potentate, no queen, no dictator. America says to every individual person, says, we hold these truths to be self-evident. So the difference is my life, my liberty, and my right to pursue happiness doesn't come from some central place. So even when people talk about employment or jobs, no one's guaranteed a job. No matter who you are, I don't care how many skills you got. If a company wants your skills, they hire you. They don't want your skills. Do they owe you something? I own a company, guys. I tell people all the time. As an owner, the only reason why I hire people is so that we can make more money. That's it. Not because they're a woman or a man, black, white, tall, fat, skinny, doesn't matter. If they meet our obligation at the time that we need them, we're going to bring them on. Why? Because they're part of the puzzle to help us make more money. I don't know why this is such a difficult thing for people to understand. Who on planet Earth has deserved anything? Just a question.
This country is going in a very right direction. This is the greatest country ever in the world, the most benign superpower ever. Think of yourself, the whole world, whenever they have a headache, they look at aspirin, whenever they think of space travel, they say Neil Armstrong. Whenever they have technology, even right now, look at ourselves. We are speaking, everybody talking here, internet, AT&T company was broken up, and we can talk all each other. We can, the thing is, the bottom line is, the America is the greatest benign power ever in the world, and we should be very proud of it. Look, I was born in India, and I've been a U.S. citizen for 40 plus years, and I'm very proud of being a U.S. citizen.
And I'm born a U.S. citizen also, and I'm very proud to be an American also. So thank you for coming to a country that allows you to be who you want to be, and no one to tell you to be something else. Even though you are what we would consider ethnicity of being Indian, it doesn't stop you from doing what you want to do for 40 years. This is the misnomer that a lot of people have. It is pretty sad that we keep thinking that everything is someone owes you something because you happen to be born a certain ethnic group. I didn't get the treat to be born ethnically black. I didn't get the treat to be born in America. I didn't get the treat to be born in America. All these things are conferred upon me. So I don't know why we continue to think that someone owes me something that I never met.
Edward, the guy who would be the legitimate king of Italy, the actual prince in the bloodline, runs a food truck here in Los Angeles. Think about that for a second. Nobody owes you anything, no matter what. Even King Charles. I don't know, maybe.
No, but see, again, citizens are subjects, right? We have 350 individual America. We have 50 independent states. Our Constitution clearly says that the role of government is to ensure the rights of the individual, not the rights of government. Our three documents written for a specific reason, not to mess with the individual. That's the beauty of our Constitution. It has nothing to do with ethnicity. I don't know why people keep trying to make this. Listen, America, I'm going to say it loud and clear, America is the least racist nation on the planet. But no one wants to hear that. Yeah.
The best country in the world. There is no other country. There is no other nation. You should be very, very, very proud of the, I work in a university. I was looking at look at the medical research, Nobody else in the world is doing such kind of research, where regenerative sciences, I'm not sure about how many people know. Regenerative sciences means growing your limbs, growing your heart, growing your eyes, growing your anything that is gone. Couple of soldiers who lost their muscles in Afghanistan war, their muscle was grown up by research in the United States regenerative sciences professors. That kind of research, that kind of ingenuity, that kind of brain power only can happen in the United States of America, nowhere else in the world. We should be very, very proud. Very, very proud. Thank you.
Sandy, thank you. Thank you for sharing who you are to a country that need people who just want to be free. I appreciate you. And thank you for somebody who decided to become an American. Okay, that's a beautiful thing. I don't take that lightly. So thank you so much. Because most people today do not realize, even Americans don't understand the concept of what it really means to be free.
Exactly. My children are born here. My children, both of my kids, they know what they are. I keep telling them again and again. You should be thankful. This is the best place in the world. This place gave you light bulb. This place gave you airspace, traveling through air. This place gives you a remedy for your headache and cancer and heart disease and anything else from the medicine, space travel to technology, internet. Like I'm talking to you. Who else will give this, Who else will give internet, like talking, the freely talking among, I'm not talking to you, I'm talking to people from India, people from China, people from Africa, people from Australia, people from Europe, everywhere else. Who else will do that? United States of America is not only the most benign superpower ever in the world, it should remain for next 20,000, 100,000 years minimum. Because, Constitution
policy which was Thomas Jefferson, and sounding the time that when it was written, that is so great that everybody else in the world is adopting it. Saying that, I'm going to stop now. Thank you for giving me an opportunity. I got to go. Sorry, I'm a little drunk right now. Thank you.
And kick this to the right.
Why is someone,
I'm sorry.
this person that's in the chat, why don't you come up and tell us why you have problems with what Edward is saying and Sandeep's pictures? Someone named Neo in the chat, come on up. You also seem to have an issue with America, so why don't you come up and tell us why?
If you want to do things like me, you have to learn how to be good at technology. That's so steady.
My picture has a picture of Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh was a freedom fighter of India who was sentenced to death by British government because he wanted to free India from British back when he was 23 years old, back in earlier 19th century.
What would be the problem with it? That sounds like he was a martyr.
Because he was 10 years old when British government decided to kill in 1919, 13th April of 1919, British government sent the soldiers to kill people. If you watch a movie, Gandhi, you have seen the scene where they killed so many people, just indiscriminate bombing. He was 13 years old. He saw that massacre where 2,000 plus people were killed for no reason. They were just sitting there protesting the Rowlatt Act. Rowlatt Act was a bill saying that Indians cannot, they don't have a right to say anything in the parliament or in the assembly. So the people were protesting. General Dyer went there, start killing them, and this guy, whose picture is on my feed, whose picture was on my profile, he saw it. He was 13 years old, and he became a freedom fighter of India. Now he's a renowned freedom fighter of India. His name is Bhagat Singh. Bhagat Singh, if you talk to anybody from India, from north to south to east to west, everybody knows him. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Okay, coming back to, if anybody has any issues that America is great?
No, the dude does not want to come up on the stage. He just wants to be a chat warrior.
Yeah. America
Please keep your pictures and deep, and you stay firm on what you believe.
United States of America is so great, it's so great that from light bulb to internet, we are talking, I'm talking to you. This whole communications is because of America, because of United States of America. Any other country in the world, China or Russia
or any of the Islamic, they will not do it. They will restrict you. They will not even fathom that they can guarantee people such freedom that they can talk to each other. People from Argentina to Jersey to, Bangalore to Timbuktu to China to Shanghai to Tokyo, everybody are talking among each other. Only United States of America can do that. And it has done. United States of America is doing it. I'm very, very thankful, and I love America, and I will defend America to my death. Thank you.
Oh, Beaver, what else would you like to talk about? KK?
Oh, I was interested in what people were saying about the title. Sorry, I'm multitasking.
It was like a room hours and hours ago that Scott started, and it actually had some very left-leaning mods in it, and then it slowly morphed. But I think Scott might be asleep. I wonder if we should close it down.
Well, Abby, Beaver, I know Scott, William, KK, and Sandip, and everyone else below, I do thank you for the critical thinking that we had tonight in our conversation. Sometimes I think that in Amber, I didn't come off mic because sometimes I think the information needs to come from people that don't look like me. Because when I start speaking, then I am a person that don't understand, like you see in the comments. Like, did I say anything about Jim Crows? Did I say anything about that? It's just interesting how people, exactly. But this is what people hear versus actually responding to what's being said. Okay? It's just quite interesting of what we like to think that we're going to fight for versus what's actual.
Well, Edward, exactly. Like I asked that question after I saw the comment. Could he tell me what state has Jim Crow laws right now? Like, where do they exist? And what state has them, and what laws specifically is he talking about that's on the books? I didn't get an answer.
Oh, it's Trump just trying to enact them by denying people services and money that rightfully belongs to them. It's an underhanded Jim Crow law of the next generation. So it's Jim Crow 2.0 in a very dog whistle kind of way.
Well, you know what I find, which is quite interesting, that we always say we don't want government in our lives, but yet we want government to do other things. Is this oxymoronic, or am I missing something? It just doesn't make sense to me.
It's definitely oxymoronic. And to what you said a minute ago, is people that look like you that we should hear these things from, because it's way more impactful when it comes to people that look like you.
But you gotta understand, if you already have your glasses on, that you see everything, I don't care what it is. A fly flying your house is racist. A fly just comes from outside is racist. Everything's not through the lens of race. Okay? There's only one race called human race. And you know what? Humans have done some horrible things to each other. On every continent, every people group. Doesn't matter. And I don't know why we think that one people group, who happen to be Caucasian, has done all the bad stuff in the world. But Edward's never done anything bad to himself.
Well, because we've done more bad than most. We kind of like perfected it, I guess you would say. So we.
William, I tell you this, my grandpa, I was 14 years old. They stood me in front of the mirror and they said, your biggest challenge in this life will be the one you see in the mirror every day. I live by that.
That's incredible. That is awesome.
I teach my grandchildren and my children the same thing. No one on planet Earth is your problem. Any problem that you have in this life, any, is the ones you either created on your own and the ones you decide to maintain. I do not give oxygen to things that have no value. Okay? If someone doesn't like Edward because he's a male, because he's ethnically black, whatever it is, do I have to maintain that zip code? Because the last I checked, I'm not a tree. I'm free to move out of that zip code.
Are you familiar with Ryan Holiday, The Obstacle is the Way?
Yes, it's my back check.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I can, but look up Ryan Holiday. He wrote a book called The Obstacle is the Way. It's basically a long version of, it's not a problem, it's a chance to grow. And it actually has nothing to do with sports, but college coach read the book and then made it mandatory that all his players read it. And then they had huge winning seasons, 3 or 4 years in a row. And everybody went what's going on here? And he said, the obstacle is the way. And then it became this phenomenon amongst college sports. And he wasn't writing it at all about sports. But it applies to so many different things. But it's basically the essence of what you were just saying. It's yeah, things are going to come at us every single day, but it's how we deal with it. If we look at it as a chance to grow, then we're on the winning side of it. Whether we get around it or past whatever is that obstacle or not isn't really the deal. The deal is how do we view it? How do we look at the things that come up every day? And that's why I was asking that guy Collective. I was like, okay, I get it. We all know the history, but what is the future and why was he seeing? I couldn't get him to kind of acknowledge, why are you being so pessimistic, right? If he had just said it wasn't enough, he just said, no, that's no progress, right? If he just said it wasn't enough progress, right? He just wanted to double down on the chip on the shoulder instead of trying to propose any solution to anything. You know what I'm saying?
Well, talking in generalities is always bad, when it's never and always is. I mean, it's just not a good way to have a rational argument. And then there was just these terms that were undefined and just kept going in a word salad way. So there's someone new on stage. Do you want to speak? I don't know what name this person is. Ideal? Do you guys see someone on stage?
See it.
Yeah.
I see it.
I see the person. So, but Amber, one of the things I love when we speak, we're very specific. The specificity and the clarity. See, people think that they're ready to fake, but they think that they said something. But in reality, when you ask them to define what they're saying, they can't really define it. Because in their head, they communicated something, but they communicate it from their head, not from their heart. It's not real. Because I can every day wake up and be a victim of something. No matter what it is. Victim of the weather, victim of other people. I'm just a victim. Why do I got to be a victim of anything? It's just sad that people actually believe that the condition of their life is caused by someone else other than themselves.
Great. Beaver, do you want, Edward, I'm going to mod you and William, and then you guys, if you want to keep this room.
I'm going to sleep, but thank you guys again for robust conversation.
Yeah, you came in a perfect.
You did, Edward.
I just listened because I heard you 5 different ways. I mean, you tried really hard. I'm like, Amber, there's no other way. It doesn't matter if it's a board, the CEO. I don't care who's listening. It's just, you can't make this stuff up. My wife worked for the city of Los Angeles for 31 years. Okay? You don't hire people based on their gender or their ethnicity. You hire people based on their skin. And you know what my wife used to always say? You can have 500 people apply for a job. Only one person will get that job. Period. And all other 499 people are not discriminated against. They just didn't get the job.
Wait, did you just say City of Los Angeles and just make that statement? Because that's a bit tough for me to swallow. That seems a little contradictory.
No, the city of Los Angeles. My wife was the senior personal analyst for 6,000 city employees. Okay? Her and a whole team of people. So there's only so many things you can do, and they still, even in the public world, the public service world, they still try to find the most qualified people. Okay? But they don't want to just randomly try to give people any career, any job, but they try to do it with people who have some form of degree or something. But at the same time, everybody's not going to get the jobs that are open. It's just, I don't know. It's just crazy.
Yeah, that's just hard to believe when you say the City of Los Angeles. I go, oh, really? I'm not sure I can believe that. I mean, I know your wife, I'm sure did her job, and there was people within the city, don't get me wrong, that absolutely did that. But the City of Los Angeles seems to be one of the most corrupt cities there is when it comes to things like that.
William, I don't disagree with you. But at the same time, there are people within the city that are trying to do things because it's the right thing to do. And unfortunately, the bureaucracy is so big, you got people with no courage. And that's the hard part.
Yeah, but you have, like, did you hear the Mayor Bass press conference? What was it, Monday, I think it was, where they talked about the new budget?
I didn't get to hear it.
Yeah,
William, I live in Orange County, man. I try to stay out of Cal.
Okay. So then I can't think to who I think should be our next mayor. Yeah, it's just I don't know. When you talk about cities and a lack of corruption or fairness in hiring, like if you said New York or Los Angeles, I'm just like, I don't know. Like, it just doesn't resonate for me. It's one of those I just go like, I don't know about that. Right? Maybe it's a bias I have, but I will give Mayor Bass credit that she did in some ways clean up the homeless. I think there's less of them, and they sweeped out Skid Row about 3 months ago, cleaned it all up. There was no homeless there for a couple of weeks. They all came back, but they swept them out and cleaned it up. And they seem to be getting a little bit better. But yeah, you moved to the much better part of Southern California, that's for sure.
I think the biggest problem is we incentivize homelessness in California. We don't tell grown adults that they're responsible for their own lives. We have the rescue mission, all the places where people go. We got to stop it. Now, if the citizenry really want to help each other, that's a whole other story. But you cannot allow the government to try to fix stuff because the government don't do that well.
There's actually the Dream Center in Silver Lake does a phenomenal job, and if you could scale up what they do, there's another one in Venice called St. Joseph's, who basically takes in mostly women with children. A lot of them survivors of domestic violence that were homeless because they were fleeing domestic violence, and they run through a culinary program. That's what the Dream Center does. They give them job skills, teach them how to clean them up, teach them how to do a resume, blah, blah, blah. Rainbow Services in the harbor area is another one. The Union Rescue Mission, Chrysalis, Weingart, most of those are absolutely they're not trying to solve the problem. I think one of the biggest problems is the idea that you're going to get drug addicts and crazy people off the street without forcing them off the street, and you're not giving them a place to go. If you say, okay, you got to stop shooting up heroin to get off the street, versus, and I'm not suggesting what they do in Seattle where they have the wet houses. I don't believe that's the actual solution. Like, come in, do whatever you want. But at the same time, if you're trying to link, I'm going to get you off the street and then you're going to get cleaned up at the same time, they don't want to get cleaned up, so they're not going to get off the street. Whereas if you get them off the street and you're a little bit lax at first versus trying to be this domination force, like I'm your daddy and you're going to do exactly what I say, then they're not going to come in off the streets. If they can't take their dog, they're not going to come in off the street. If they can't go in with their girlfriend, they're not going to come in off the street, right? And so we have this one approach, very authoritarian. And I think the people, because I've worked for a bunch of them in various capacities, I've shot interviews and done stories on a lot of the different organizations, and I think that none of them truly see this idea that you can't treat them all, like you got to triage them. You got to look at it and say, okay, what's this guy's problem? What's the obstacle to getting them the help that they need? And we took away the drug courts. We can't force them into the mental institutions. Like our hands are tied on some level, and there are solutions to the problems, but we're not scaling up, and we're not willing to do what it takes to do it, which is the unfortunate part.
Yeah, but you still cannot force the individual to do something outside of their own will, right? You and I both know that it still comes down to personal responsibility. And if some of them living on the street because they don't want to be part of the system, they just want to do it. They don't want to be in the rat race. So it's just really sad that people today who are homeless, whether they're in their right mind or not in their right mind, okay, because there are issues, obviously, whether they're addicted to some drug that they chose to do, because people don't want to hold people responsible again. And then we should not, as a quote-unquote government, we should not enable them by giving them clean needles and putting them in programs, because now we're actually saying we're going to actually help your downfall. Like when they talk about climate change, I always say, so you tell me about climate change, but if I shot myself up in OD, I wouldn't even get to see the climate change. It doesn't make any sense. Again, it's oxymoronic, the stuff that we put our hands on, man. It's just crazy.
Yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen the needle exchange stuff. A friend of mine had a recording studio down in Hollywood, and they were doing it right on her street. So sometimes I would show up to do some work there, and I'd have to wait for her to get there. So I'd be just sitting in front of the studio for 20, 30 minutes and just watching the people who would show up. And you would see people from all walks of life, from guys that were pulling up in fucking nice cars to homeless people walking up. And it was run, and they did the same thing with feeding the homeless. It was run by like these do-gooders out of West Hollywood, but they did it just east of La Brea, which is going to be the Hollywood, not West Hollywood, right? And it was just like, I'm watching this stuff and I'm like, okay, I get it, but at the same time, like, you're not even giving them the chance to show up and have personal responsibility to do something to make their life better. You're just giving them the ability to do whatever the fuck they want to do. And it really was a hard thing to watch. And I experienced it a couple of different times. It was just weird.
The way you begin it, you can't make people more responsible for themselves than anything else. And it's really sad that people don't want to take responsibility for their own lives. And like you said, there are enablers on the planet that will enable people who's already crashed and burned, and it's really sad. So, but again, I appreciate the convo, and I am gonna
I'm gonna take off. Let's close the room around. I'm not even know how do we close the room. I can't see my room.
When we leave, it close.
So if we both leave, it'll close, and Scott won't just
yeah, because Scott's gonna fall off eventually. So, all right.
Yeah, but I don't know that I want to leave the room. Like, is there a way to actually close it down?
I don't think so.
There's no room. Okay, it was good talking to you, man. Hopefully I'll see you.
Good talking to you, Lee. Yeah, Sandra, good seeing you.
Yeah. is not necessarily tell. Bless you in the mighty name of Jesus.
Being cheese. I did that shit the other day. That motherfucker was. When that was real. That was life changing. I baked this steak. I saw it on TikTok.
Air fryers actually look.
Oh my god.
I talked to somebody on this app who said he cooked it in a toaster.
We just get them as addicted to sugar and fat, so we want to eat out, but we don't really. No, hold on. I'll give the
No, but this is all people know. You know, this is what people know. They grew up there, so kind of call them heretics. I would tell them, no, historically, we always told up. The church put this one. Like for the Eucharist, which many people loved earlier. The Eucharist from the first century. You got Jesus breaking bread with his disciples, right? And so on for 40 days. So they're laughing at Jesus. They're not laughing at me, really. Well, when they laugh at, oh yeah, that's Jesus, yeah. But then later on, it's funny because they don't believe the bread and wine can be.
That was so funny to me. Why would you hang curtains on a wall with that they supposedly saved and got back? Nobody has seen it, right? You gotta ask yourself that library, Trump's Library of Congress, or whatever he called it, right? His library.
WTOP is a radio station up there. They do stuff on Instagram, but
mine is not an of man, and my insight is keen as the hawk's. By my head, I am the only begotten child of my father and mother. My father is dead. My mother bore me with labor and pain and fear. By my body I invoke thee. About me shine the diamonds of radiance white and pure. By their brightness I invoke thee. Mine is the red triangle reverse the sign, given of unsaved deed of thee, O Lord. By the Lamb I invoke thee. Mine is the garment of white, sewn with gold, the blessing of mine that I wear. By my robe I invoke mine is the sign of a purpose and time. By the sign I invoke thee. Mine is the turban of white and gold, and mine the blue vigor of the intimate air. By my crown I invoke thee. My fingers travel on the beats of bird, so I after thee in thy covered glory. By my fingers I invoke thee. I hear the one of double power and the voice of the master. Abraham, sword, crown, child, and conquering Lord, chorus and angel. By the song I invoke in my hand is thy sword of revenge. Let it strike at thy bidding. By the sword I invoke. Voice of the cry, voice of the singers, even all the voices in the heaven. Mine is the head of the man, and my inside is keen as the ox. By my head I invoke thee. I am the only begotten child of my father and mother. My father is dead. My mother bore me with labor and pain and fear. By my body I invoke thee. About me shine the diamonds of radiance, white and pure. By their brightness I invoke thee. Mine is the red triangle, reverse the sign, given on none, save it be, O Lord. By the Laman I invoke thee. Mine is the garment of white, sewn with gold, the flashing of flame that I wear. By my robe I invoke thee. Mine is the sign of a office and Typhoon. By the sign I invoke thee. Mine is the turban of white and gold, and mine the blue vigor of the intermediate. By my crown I invoke thee. My fingers tremble on the beat of earth, so run I after thee in thy car of glory. By my fingers I invoke thee. Mine is the wand of double power in the voice of the Master. By the word I invoke thee. By the dark waves of music in the song that I made all whole to invoke thee. Strike the master chord, draw the flaming sword, child and conquering Lord, Horus Avenger.
Damn. Wow.
Sword of revenge, let it strike at thy cheek. By the sword I invoke thee. Voice of the fire, the voice of the 611 are the voices. Abrahadabra. About me shine the diamond of radiance, white and pure. By their brightness I invoke it. Mine is the red triangle reverse, the sign given of none. Save it be of thee, O Lord. By the Lamb and I invoke thee. Free mine is the garment of white, sewn with gold. The flashing of eye that I wear by my robe I invoke thee. Mine is the sign of a prophets and typhon. By the sign I invoke thee. Mine is the turban of white and gold, and mine the blue wither of the intimate. By my crown I invoke thee. My fingers travel on the beads of pearl, so run I after thee in thy car of glory. By my fingers I invoke thee. I hear the sound of double power in the voice of the master. Abraham, by the word I invoke thee. Be my northern dark blue waves of music in the song that I made of old to invoke thee. Strike! Strike the master chord. Draw! Draw the flaming sword. Draw! Triumph and conquering Lord. Horus! Avenger! By the song I invoke thee.
That's the one.
In my hand is the sword of revenge. Let it strike at thy being. By the sword I invoke thee. The voice of the fight, the voice of the six, 11 of the voices. Abraham, Abraham. The voice of the fight, the voice of the six, 11 of the voices. Abraham, Abraham. Mine is the head of the man, and my insight is keen as the ox. By my head I invoke thee. I am the only begotten child of my father and mother. My father is dead. My mother bore me with labor and pain and fear. By my body I invoke thee. Above me shine the diamonds of radiance, white and pure. By the brightness I invoke thee. Mine is the red triangle reverse.
What discoveries were made the formula? What? How would you calculate ROI on the 50 billion plus invested formula?
Mine is the head of the man, and my insight is keen as the ox. By my head I know. I am the only begotten child of my father and mother. My father is dead. My mother bore me with labor and pain and fear by my body. I know about me. Shine the diamonds of radiance, white and pure by their brightness. I know mine is the red triangle reverse of the sign, even of none save it be of thee. Oh Lord, by the layman.
Request the federal agent attorney Andrew Boutros to suspend the safety act and bring suit against the state of Illinois Democrat legislative pitch for burning it only the first of each to determine constitutionally.
Mine is the head of the man, and my insight is keen as the ox. By my head, I invoke thee. I am the only begotten child of my father and mother. My father is dead. My mother bore me with labor and pain and fear by my body. I invoke thee. About me shiny diamonds of radiance, white and pure. By their brightness, mine is the head of the Remaining in the sign, the invocation concludes. Therefore I say unto thee, come thou forth and dwell in me, so that every spirit, whether of the firmament, or of the ether, or of the earth, or under the earth, or dry land, or in the air, or falling air, or of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God, the vast one might be. Mine is the head of the hawk. I bear the rose and cross of life and life.
Put it in his ice cream.
I bear the rose and cross of life and light, giving the sign at each abracadabra. Remaining in the sign, the invocation concludes. Therefore I say unto thee, come thou forth and dwell in me, so that every spirit, whether of the firmament, or of the ether, or of the earth, or under the earth, on dry land, or in the water, of whirling air, or of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God, the vast one might be Mine is the head of the hawk. Abracadabra. chosen cross of life and light. Giving the sign at each abrahadabra. Remaining in the sign, the invocation concludes. Therefore I say unto thee, come thou forth and dwell in me, so that every spirit, whether of the firmament, or of the ether, or of the earth, or under the earth, on dry land, or in the water of whirling air, or of rushing fire, and every spell and scourge of God, the vast one, might be abrahadabra. You came like dawn in my hands, soft but stronger than a my fear turned gold in your eyes, and my whole night broke in two. I was lost in the